Hey everyone, this is Scrap Computer here. This video is going to cover kind of a controversial topic, covering why Smurfs, simply put, in my opinion, are not needed, and a few tenures to the subject overall. I'm going to cover this in two tiers, ranked and normal game Smurfing. Before I cover this, I know a lot of you guys will Smurf. I merely want you to see the other end of what you're doing to yourself and others. I'm not telling you what to do. I wouldn't dare, and I have no right. I'm merely giving my thoughts on the subject and the pros and cons to convince you with a good argument, rather than moralistic based and orientated attacks. Let's get into it. Ranked Smurfing. The only players in this game that need to Smurf are Diamond 1 players and above. There are two possible reasons for this. Number 1, prove yourself. Once you get to this high level of play, you may wish to prove to yourself and others that you can do it again. This is one of the main and the most probable reasons for any player to even consider Smurfing. Getting that Diamond 1 on 2 accounts, or that Master on 2 accounts, shows you're, well, a Master or Diamond 1 player at heart. Getting multiple accounts into Challenger shows you're one of the best players in the entire game. On the flip side, why the hell would a Plat 3 player make a Smurf account? Are you going to prove to yourself you can get to a medium high level of play again? Why not stick to your Smurf and main on that Plat 3 and grind yourself on your way to the top? By making a Smurf, you're merely putting off this massively. You're saying to yourself, I'm not going to bother going for Diamond, I'm going to stick in my Plat 3 and I'm going to go down and start beating up the golds again. And it's not necessarily required, you're hindering yourself. Why not stick to the main of your Plat 3 and grind your way to the top? By making a Smurf, you're merely just throwing this off. At this level, you'd be Smurfing to prove that you're decent above average, rather than facing players of your level, or players of a higher echelon of play, and progressively getting better. All you're doing is removing yourself from your moderately high level of play to a low level of play, even though it's not necessary. You haven't proved yourself at all. Until you get to Diamond 1, I feel most players haven't proved themselves, and you don't really need a Smurf. Number 2, queue times. In the extremely high levels of play, and Challenger mainly, the pros make multiple Smurfs due to the fact that the queue times in this next level of play are simply too high in many cases. This is only for the best players in the world and not for average players. This is not applicable for figuratively 99.9999% of regular players. Other than these scenarios, all you're doing is the following. I'm going to cover the effects you can have on other players and yourself, and the general overview of Smurfing and the cons and pros for the community and yourself. Let's get into it. Stacking / ruining games. First and foremost, all you're doing is ruining the average player's game. If you're a Plat player jumping into a Bronze game, you will crap on them. The entire game will revolve around you and the fact that you're beating players that are nowhere near your kind of caliber. A possible amazing close game we all know and love can be simply ruined by a higher level Smurf smashing that laner to pieces when they're not versus their current elo. But not versus this kind of stack. Like, if you've got a Smurf, these close, like, finger tingling games just don't happen. They just straight up don't. You're destroying potentially good games. You play Riven top as a Smurf and get 10 kills, crap in the lane, and the game's gone. That's pretty much it over. Ego boosting. A lot of players, simply put, go into low levels to improve their ego. This to me is one of the few times I'm going to say it's straight up unacceptable. Rather than facing players of equal skill for a challenge like a person with a bit of ambition or sportsmanship would do, you're hiding in the lower echelons of play, defeating players with less knowledge and less mechanics. There is no point in caressing your own ego by defeating lower level players. If I go into Bronze, I pretty much evaporate any player there. That doesn't make me a good player. I've just played a lot longer than most of these players probably have, or just have more experience, and just generally a little bit better. They're on their way up. You have to remember, most Bronze players are players that don't play that much, or generally speaking just aren't really that ambitious in ranked, which is perfectly fine. Going down there and slapping them about is not going to help anyone. It's just completely pointless. The only thing that you'll get out of low level games is a good score. You will not improve, you'll just feel better. In my opinion, this is the lowest of the low. If you go down to low elo to win, you're clearly not good enough to stomp at your own level. So clearly you've hit your limits and want an easier time stomping lower levels to convince yourself you're better than you are. If you're stuck in Plat, you probably deserve to be in Plat. This type of player limits themselves heavily by moving themselves down and saying, I'm better than everyone else. Improving / receding skill. How can you possibly improve when versus a player who has half of your mechanical skill and maybe a fifth of your conceptual skill and knowledge of the game? When smurfing, you're learning very little, when your enemy can provide a ton of mistakes, and basically enough mistakes to give you a win on a silver platter. They overextend, they can't get as much CS, they don't know how to use power spikes, they're not building correctly, they're not warning up enough, they're overextending. There is a million things they will do to hand you a free win. You're not going to be looking for the little niches of higher level play. As a matter of fact, when playing against a lower level, you'll actually naturally digress in matter of skill level, as you don't have to think like you regularly do at your medium to higher level of play to achieve victory. It's like me playing chess with the average, completely normal 13-year-old. Sure, it would be easy. I would be epic compared to them for the most part, but the fact is, I would never get any better at chess, realistically, and actually lower my thought pattern and general movement standards. Winning every time would make me perceive myself as better at chess than I am, but because I'd never lose. But I mean, who cares? I would remove any higher level conceptual thought I need to do, any predictions I possibly need to provide. I would remove any need for improvement. When you can beat someone, you're generally not going to grow that much. For your own sake, stick to your own level of play. Playing versus equal or better level forces will make you learn every single game and make you thrive to achieve higher levels of play, to achieve victory. And that's the main crux of the whole matter for me personally. Normal Smurfs. Now, there are a few exceptions to making Smurfs in my opinion that are perfectly acceptable. Number 1. Smurfing to help a lower level friend. This is a very kind deed to make a Smurf to help one of your friends out, or just keep one in the flanks to help any lower level friend that wishes to play with you. Due to the lower MMR of the normal account, it means your friend may not be able to normally play versus your normal MMR. So with the newer account, it's a lot easier for them. This is just nice to do. You want to play with your friends. You will do better normally. Obviously, of course, you're going to have a higher MMR, and the change will be very significant, but maybe not as much. Like, if you're playing Diamond Normals, you don't want your Bronze friend to play versus that. They would get smashed. It's completely pointless. This is just really, really fine to do. I personally find this totally acceptable. Of course, you are better than the people you're going to be versus, but what can you do otherwise? Not play with your friends? To me, that's unreasonable. It's unfortunate, but it's unreasonable. It's going to help your friend improve quite drastically. Everyone's done this once in their life at least. A note to this is, you can't do this in ranked. Normal games, to play with a friend to help them improve is fantastic, or just to play with them just for fun is great. But try to avoid ranked in this matter. Number 2, train another role. You can easily be in low diamond mid lane, but a silver support in terms of standard. This can be difficult to train when playing at your current high level of play. To train a new role, a Smurf can be a fantastic method to drop down the MMR in either ranked or normal and not stack the odds too heavily. This is still Smurfing, but Smurfing with a disadvantage. If you're playing a role you're not necessarily fantastic on, you're going to be playing at a lower level of play in that role. Hence, it's not a severe case of Smurfing. A mild one, I feel, is just about justified. And that's it for the video, guys. I understand some of this is a little bit harsh. These are just my thoughts, just on an opinionated video. I don't wish to offend anyone or scrutinize anyone, of course. I know each scenario is different and other exceptions can be made. I just wanted to help some of the low to medium level Smurfs who have no real excuse in Smurfing to both assist themselves in improving and overall stopping low level stomps and game stacks, which are just one of the worst rotten cores of this game. I just had a friend who got smashed by an admitted Plat 3 Smurf in Bronze. He just started ranked and it kind of destroyed the game, and from there destroyed his opinion of ranked. He just doesn't want to do it anymore. He got absolutely slapped by them, and it's just really unfortunate, which is a shame because it can be a lot of fun. It's a fun game, just not when you've got these kind of stacks. Regardless of what I think, guys, go to the comment section and tell me what you think. Add into the discussion. I look forward to reading your comments as always. Just a notice, do try to keep it conversational and not just shout at each other. This is one topic I feel a lot of people polarize on, which is totally acceptable, but try to keep it cool in some regard. A conversation will lead us somewhere, whereas mindlessly shouting at each other like we're a bunch of idiots over a swamp is not exactly going to help. I'm hoping in some way to find a resultant factor for many people in this, in terms of people that Smurf and the people that don't, and to possibly see both ends. And that's it for the video, guys. If you like it, dislike it, dislike it. If you like the content, subscribe. Or if you hate it and think it's horrible quality and I'm totally wrong and I'm being massively unreasonable, you can unsub. I'm totally fair. Besides this, guys, have a great day. And as always, best of luck in the Rift.